Hi, I'm Pandora's Books, and join me as I read R.F. Kuang's newest book, Katabasis. Now, if you don't know who R.F. Kuang is, she's written the Poppy War trilogy, she's written Babel, her latest book was Yellowface. I've only read Yellowface, I really enjoyed it. It was a contemporary satire, I ended up giving it 4 stars, and because I enjoyed it so much, I saw her at a book talk last year talking about Yellowface and where she hinted at her newest book, Katabasis. And then I went to another book talk this year with her where she spoke about Katabasis and did an interview. I did get the special edition version of the book with sprayed edges and it was signed. It was such a good talk. It was so interesting and just got me excited for this book. So I thought I'd do a reading vlog for you. If you don't know what this book is about, it's about 2 grad students at Cambridge who end up going to hell because their professor died in a gruesome accident and he is the only one that could give them a reference and essentially make sure that they get jobs. R.F. Kuang had influences from a lot of different textbooks and a lot of classics about what hell should look like. There has been some talk about this book feeling very textbook, so we'll see how that goes. I'm really excited to read it, and let's just jump straight into it. So I have done a lot of reading. I'm now about 25% of the way through, just about to start chapter 9. So far it's really interesting. I feel like I'm flying through it. What I was worried about with the writing style, I don't think will be a concern. It does mention academic texts and classics that I have no clue about, but the way that it's talked about, it's not talking down at you, nor is it really relevant. As in, it is relevant.
Women.
By you not understanding it, you're not missing out on anything. So if that's what you're worried about with this book, that you might not get anything and it will just go over your head, I don't think that should be a concern. The start of this book throws you straight into the action. Alice has already done all her research. The accident with the professor's already happened. She is about to go into hell. That's the beginning of this book, which I really appreciate because I imagine that a lot of this book is going to be getting to the end point of hell. That it seems like a quest to just get straight to the point is really great. Just as she's about to go to hell, that's where Peter shows up. He's like, Alice Law, you naughty girl, you're trying to go to hell, which is the quote on the back of the book. So we've been in hell for just over a day. They have been to the first court. They've met some characters. It seems like it's got kind of this witty element to it. There's a bit of humor in this. It's not super serious, which I'm enjoying. The 2 characters do have a history that we don't know yet. You can tell that they are going to be love interests. There's also some imagery in this where they did a diagram of what they think hell looks like, which was very helpful. I don't want to go too much into it because we are still very early on in the book, but I am enjoying it. The writing style isn't as daunting as I thought it would be. The scenery of hell is really interesting. It seems to take after Cambridge. So the first court was a library. Everyone is stuck there because they are too prideful to admit that they can't figure something out. We're about to go to the second court of desire, so I'm curious how that will look. I'm excited to continue and see where this leads. So let's get back to reading. So I've just gotten past the halfway mark now. Things are really picking up. What's happened so far is they've gone through 2 courts of hell. We've just been introduced to a new character who seems to be of significance. It's not just a passing character. It kind of caused a rift in between Alice and Peter, which was interesting. Tension is rising. Yeah, there's a bit of miscommunication, but not in a way that it's annoying or unnecessary. So I'm really interested in how it's going and what's going to happen from now on, because there has been some things revealed As for their quest, their journey through hell, from what I can tell, I don't think it's going to continue that trend of they visit one court and they look around, they visit another court and they look around, because there's 8 courts. I can imagine that will get pretty repetitive. So there has been some differences now that we've gone through 2 courts. We are also starting to see what happened between Alice and Peter before. We can see where things had gone wrong in the past, and that's why Alice and Peter are this way. I think it's going to take a bit more for us to fully understand Peter and get his backstory, since we are seeing all of this through the eyes of Alice. But I'm really finding her an interesting character. Because of the environment that Alice is in, she's kind of ended up not being a girl's girl. She feels like she needs to just brush aside everything else, that if she just pushes through, they will see her as worthy and look beyond her gender. But she's pushing herself to the limit, and in doing so is also brushing aside other females in the industry, other females in Cambridge, pushing them down. She's gonna have to realise that Professor Grimes didn't find her as the one female that's special, no matter who she is, no matter her background, no matter how smart she is. He is just a terrible person that treats all his students terribly. And I'm excited to hear Peter's backstory. I feel like we're building up to that, because there's only so long we can go without hearing his side of things. So that's where I'm up to, and I'm gonna continue reading, and hopefully I can get this finished soon. So let's keep reading. I'm around the 75% mark now, I'm about to start chapter 27, I believe it was. I'm really liking the writing style. It definitely doesn't feel textbook, as some people have said. It just has that academic feel to it, which makes sense because that's the setting of this book. Stuff has happened. A lot of stuff has happened since I last updated you. There's been a plot twist, you could say, that I am in denial about. It happened. If you've read the book, you probably know what I'm talking about. It happens in a pit. I'm in denial and deciding to believe that it'll all end up all right in the end. So I didn't get, obvious. I'm hoping that I'm right and it's nothing to worry about and it will all be fixed. Peter's backstory has been explained now. We had a chapter from his point of view, which was interesting. And also a bit weird to go from Alice's point of view that we have had for the whole book and then to have just one chapter dedicated to him. It was a nice way to show what's going on in Peter's head. We have now reached the 8th court of hell. We're gonna see if Professor Grimes is there. I'm kind of wondering if we're gonna go this whole book without actually finding him. As for plot, I don't really know how this is gonna end. I don't really know how they're gonna get out of hell. They've spoken about it a bit, but the two of them, both Alice and Peter, didn't actually have a definite way of getting out. But we are so close to the end now. We've got 100 and something pages. So let's get to finishing this book and seeing how they get out of hell. Just finished Katabasis, or Katabasis. Oh my god, I just really enjoyed this book. It was so fun. It took me a few days to read it just because it is a big, chunky book.
I like them big. I like them chunky. I like them big. I like them chunky.
It did take a little bit, but I really did enjoy it. And it was a type of book where I was excited to keep picking it up. I definitely think if you're nervous about reading this book because it seems too smart or maybe too difficult to understand, don't let that scare you because it's definitely not that. There are parts that flew over my head, there were parts that I didn't get fully, but it wasn't integral to actually understanding the plot and actually understanding what's happening. A lot of the things were really interesting to learn about. I ended up having discussions with my fiance about philosophy. It was really thought-provoking and interesting. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed learning some things. I really liked the plot. I really liked the characters. The characters are what make this book. I really enjoyed being in Alice Law's head. I think she was a great main character to have. But the Alice Law that we start with and then end with, it's just a really nice arc, and to see her go through that journey through hell and mentally her journey of understanding and accepting that Professor Grimes is a horrible person. The world building of hell was really interesting, and also the world building of the magic. I haven't really spoken about that. It was a very unique magic system based on chalk and drawing pentagrams, a very interesting way of having magic in a contemporary setting. There are a lot of things about chalk that's discussed in this and how it's used and how the magic comes from that. The most amusing part was there's snorting chalk as a way to gain a more intense magic from the chalk. And then also there's the whole lore behind chalk and how chalk's created from fossils and dead fish from hundreds of years ago, which I didn't know. That's a fun fact. It is true, that's how chalk is made. The descriptions of hell were a lot better in the beginning of the book, and then the last few courts, aside from the 8th court, they kind of merged into one. They weren't really described that much. I couldn't tell you how those last middle courts looked. There was nothing distinct about them really. I would say that's my only critique of the book, is that I feel like once we pass Desire, all the other courts kind of merge into one, and I wish there was a bit more to them. The ending was very satisfying and also wholesome, like right at the end. It was really wholesome and I really enjoyed that part. What more can I say? I just really enjoyed this book. I feel like I'm going to be thinking about it for a long time. I loved the writing style. I love everything about it. I know what I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it 5 stars, but I feel like I would name it that 6-star category. It just feels like that kind of book that I'm going to be thinking about it for a really long time. I'm going to be obsessed with this world. I could definitely reread this in the future, and I think I will. I'll have to leave it a bit because it is such a thick book.
Yes, girl, you huge.
In a few years' time, I could definitely reread this. So I'm really happy that I read it and I picked it up, and you should too, definitely. If you're scared of it, don't be, and just jump in and do it. Thank you for joining me as I read Katabasis, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!